You're a good man, Mike.
Mike, what is that? Is everything okay?
Mike.
Well, Grandma, what did you think of Deepwater Horizon, which is a recreation of the big oil rig disaster in the Gulf of Mexico not long ago, in which this BP oil rig exploded and killed quite a few people.
11.
11 people. That's quite a few.
Yep.
And spilled a lot of oil in the Gulf of Mexico for quite a few days and created a big natural disaster.
Yes.
And again, it's all about how the disaster developed, how it happened, and how people tried to survive it. What do you think?
Well, once the blowout started, I had to hold my breath, so I held my breath the last half of the film.
How'd that go?
It was fabulous. I mean, I can't admire the filmmakers more for recreating such an enormous disaster. I'm amazed, really, that only 11 people didn't survive, because the whole rig was exploding, and then it caught on fire. So not only did you have the explosions tearing things apart, constant explosions, but you had the fire that was everywhere. And of course, the goal for the 120 whatever people that lived and worked on the rig was to get off as soon as they realized what was happening. One thing that I didn't realize, and I don't know if other people knew this, was how large the place was. There were some parts on the outside of the rig, where people didn't realize what was happening at first.
Right.
And became aware then, of course, when the fire began. The gas came through. I thought it was just absolutely spectacular how well they did this, recreating something like this. And of course, following Mike Williams, who was the leading character among the workers there.
Played by Mark Wahlberg.
Yes. Played by our star, but she did a marvelous job. It was just wonderfully well done, I thought. It was just spectacular, and I held my breath. The only thing I wished they had made clearer, and maybe they did make it clear, maybe you would understand this better than I did, was what actually happened to start the whole disaster. There was some explanation, of how the place works, and there was some discussion among the leading players of there was something wrong. They weren't quite sure what was wrong, but things were not quite right, and they kept doing these tests and stuff. They had no inkling of how right they were. There was something definitely not right, but I wish they'd been a little more clear on that. Once the place began to just blow apart and burn.
Well, I think you're right. They didn't make it crystal clear, but again, I think that they sort of showed early on there was a small little failure of something, and then then it started to leak, and then it was just sort of got progressively worse and worse throughout the film until again
until the disaster.
and yeah, I mean they put some stress tests on on the pipes and such, and that didn't help. Again, because it was already starting to fail, and again, it just seemed to get worse. At least that's the impression I got on how it was developing.
I thought it was wonderful. I'm very glad that we went to see it. You know, what did you think of the movie maker's presentation there?
I thought it was very well done. They got me right from the very beginning. I mean, this is one of those, again, another one of those cases where, again, it's based on true events. You know, exactly how much, you know, how true to everything it was. You know, all the characters, were they all, you know, the exact same people and everything like that. It's hard to tell. It seemed like they were trying to be very close to the true events and the people and such. But again, they got me right from the very beginning, because I just thought the whole thing about this oil rig life and everything like that was very fascinating. Again, I was just interested in how they got there, you know, what they were, you know, all the systems that they had. Again, all of that sort of
it's very interesting.
Developing, you know, up to the you know, disaster itself. I thought all of that was very interesting.
They gave us a little glimpse of all the different jobs.
Right.
And then on the rig.
And then again, this is again another one of those examples of a film where we know how it ends, and we know that there's no you know, no way out of this disaster. They're not going to find, you know, suddenly find some solution to the problem, and it's not going to explode, and everybody's going to get out all right. We know that there's going to be disaster, and we know that people are going to die, and we know there's going to be a big problem. So the last half of the movie or whatever, you almost just have to let it flow over you. I mean, you just have to sit there, and we have to we have to go through the disaster just like the people in the movie. And again, just like the people in the movie, the disaster itself didn't follow any sort of logical pattern or anything. You don't really know what's going to happen next. You know, there's an explosion here. There's this going on there. They try this this solution. You know, there's all these different things that are going on, and you don't know if anything is going to work or what's going to happen. And again, you just sit back and you just let it go. And again, it's just really well done. It really puts you right into the disaster, in the whole situation, and you're just sort of going through it with the people in the movie. And again, it's just
breath.
Well, again, it's just very it's just very well done. Again, and anybody who sees this movie, I think, is just going to be really interested in it and really get into it. And I think it was just quite well done.
I do too.
What was your final
This
verdict
is definitely, folks, this is definitely a 2 thumbs up movie. This is definitely a 2 thumbs up movie. As Brian pointed out, we know how it came out. You know, it was in the news for weeks and months.
And again, they show some of the hearings and the people and such at the end. So the real
people.
Yeah, so you sort of know
all this testimony happened.
Yeah, you sort of know how some of it came out at the end and everything like that.
They tell us in their own words, you know, they testified and they told them in detail all that happened to them, you know, individually there. It was really, really good.
Yeah, again, I would recommend it to just about anybody.
The movie makers
it's very
did
well done.
Good job. Really good job.
Yes.
Yes, and our star